Hi, welcome to BFS Wargaming. Patrick here. I'm going to talk about a tournament I went to at the weekend, Ultimate Commander. Really good tournament, really well run. Really enjoyed it. Everyone was a pleasure to play. So what we're going to do is going to go into talk about my army and what I took to the tournament. So we'll start off from there. So I actually took Necrons. It's the first time I've taken Necrons to a tournament. Obviously with a chapter approved and the price drop, Necrons are a lot more viable now. So I'll go through the list. So first off, I took a battalion with a Cryptek with a Chronometron, an Overlord with the War Scythe. The Cryptek actually had the Relic, the Veil of Darkness, where you can deep strike anywhere. Also, basically, you can take the Cryptek and a unit off the board, a unit of infantry, and you can deep strike them anywhere 9 inches away. So you can do this on turn 1 because the units obviously start on the board, or you can do it any turn you want. Troops choice, I had 20 warriors, I had 10 Tesla Immortals, 5 Tesla Immortals and 5 Gauss Immortals. I had a unit of 4 Scarabs, a unit of 6 Wraiths, a unit of 6 Destroyers. The Wraiths didn't have any weapons, so they were just basic. And then going on to, I had a Spearhead detachment. So in the Spearhead, I had Illuminous Osiris, who was my Warlord, and took Immortal Pride, which you have to. Illuminous Osiris was good to have as my Warlord because with the multi-detachments, with different dynasties, because the battalion was Mefrit, which is minus an extra minus 1 AP if you're within half range of your weapon. And then the Spearhead I took was Nihiliac, which is reroll 1s if you don't move. So in the Spearhead, I had Illuminous Osiris, the Warlord, took Immortal Pride, where you can automatically pass morale, and also you can deny the Witch. And then I had 3 Doomsday Arcs and another unit of 4 Scarabs. So that was my list. I don't think I've missed anything out. And going into the first game, I played a really nice guy called Jack. He took Craftworld. So what did he bring? He brought a Airwing detachment. So he had a couple of Crimson Exarchs and a Hemlock. He had a Wraith Lord, a Wraith Knight. He had a couple of units of Wind Riders, a unit of Shining Spears. He had some Guardians and a few, I think 2 or 3 units of Rangers. He had like an Autarch, a Farseer on bike, and a Warlock on bike. So yeah, that was his army. So started off, he did make a mistake in so he went first, made a bit of a mistake in his movement. He actually moved the Hemlock within 12 inches of one of my Doomsday Arcs. He shot at one of my Doomsday Arcs, used Quantum Deflection and managed to keep it alive, which is pretty good. So I actually stopped him getting first strike. And then proceeded to take out his Wraith Knight. I took out his Hemlock. I was sort of just generally racking up more points during that game. It was quite cool as well because with the tournament you had a lot of terrain which you could use. So you could use guns on bastions, and there was on that map there was quite a lot of bastions, Imperial bastions, and yeah, so I hid my smaller units in the bastions, and they were shooting out of there, so you'd have had to take out the actual bastion, which was helped me. He also done the same thing, but he had Rangers in one of the bastions. So yeah, basically my damage output was better than his, so I was taking a few more things out. I think we got to turn 3, maybe even ended on turn 2, and I beat Jack 12-4 on points. So really nice guy, like I said, good game. Really nice to start off the tournament with a win. Then, so for the first 3 games, because it was over 2 days, so 3 games per day, the first 3 games were just randomly matched up. So my next game was against a guy called Isaac, and he was a fellow Necron player. So we're the only 2 Necron armies there, but we played each other. Isaac's a very experienced Necron player, and he's an experienced player anyway. But really nice guy. He actually gave me a few pointers and stuff for the army. He had 15 Wraiths, 3 Doomsday Arcs. He had Imhotep the Stormlord. He had 3 units of Immortals, sort of 2 units of 10 Tesla, 1 unit of 9 Gauss. He had Destroyer Lord. I think that was about it for what he had in his army. But basically, it came down to I just couldn't handle the amount of Wraiths he had, trying to take them out. He used his army very aggressively. Saltec, obviously with Imhotep, he moved up the board very quickly. He actually, I think he seized on me. Oh no, he didn't. He chose to go first. Yeah, I think he chose to go first. So, yeah. But really, really good guy. He even let me go back, and when I think one of my Doomsday Arcs, I forgot to fire. He even let me go back and fire it. It was absolute pleasure to play. Like I said, gave me a few tips, and yeah, Isaac was a really good guy, and he actually ended up finishing 2nd in the tournament, so he done very, very well. So after that, I lost against Isaac pretty convincingly. So I went into game 3 and I was against a guy called Jamie who had Tau. So he had a couple of Riptides, 3 Broadsides, Commander. He had quite a few units of like Fire Warriors. He had another couple of suits. And I think, you know, a few like stuff with marker lights and all that sort of thing. It was a really close game with me and Jamie actually. I think we got to end of turn 3, and we actually ended up drawing 4-4 on points. It was an Eternal War mission, and it was very, very hard to score points. There was the central objective. I can't remember what the mission was called. Oh no, yeah, there was 3 objectives. It was the beachhead mission. So there's 3 objectives. And obviously you get 2 for the middle, 1 for the back, 1 for your ones in your deployment zone, and 3 for the ones in your opponent's deployment zone. It just ended up that neither of us could really get the central objective. Neither of us really got the objectives in the opponent's turn. So it came down to, yeah, basically it came down to secondaries, and we sort of both drew. So, yeah, good game though. Jamie was, again, really nice guy. You know, had a good time playing him. So that was day 1, and that's so I finished with a win, a loss, and a draw on day 1, which actually put me 10th overall. There was 16 players, so I wasn't in the top 8. So then it actually got split. So the top 8 went into Ultimate Commander, and the bottom 8 went to something plate. So you were sort of still playing to get in a final, which was quite cool. So went into the second day. First game was against a guy called Jeff, who had Tyranids. He had a very, very close combat Tyranid army, not that much shooting. He had a couple of Hive Tyrants. He had a unit of 15 Gene Stealers, a unit of 7 Gene Stealers, 30 Hormagaunts or Termagants, the ones with the guns, and another unit of 10, I think, of those. He had a Lictor. He had a Death something, which was a character, which could deep strike. Then he had a couple of Carnifexes, Old One Eye. So yeah, he had a pretty, like, if his list was going to get in, it was going to do a lot of damage. So I had to screen quite well. The Wraiths came in really handy for me. Screened well. Managed to hold the stuff up mainly with the Wraiths. I mean, his Gaunts did get into my Warriors, but they didn't really do much. And obviously with reanimation, I could just reanimate, and then my Warriors ended up sort of taking them out. And then I just had a lot of volume of shots, which was really handy. So I managed to clear off his Gene Stealers. Turn 1, I think I took out a Carnifex with Doomsday Arc. I took out a lot of the Gaunts. So yeah, it wasn't too bad in terms of turn 1. His turn 2, he didn't really do enough damage, and then my turn 2, I took some more stuff out. Another Carnifex, took one of his Hive Tyrants down to quite low. Took a few of his Warriors out because he had some Tyranid Warriors. I think I forgot about them. Yeah, he had about 12 of them or something. So yeah, Jeff actually conceded after turn 2 because he said that he could only see it really going one way, which I tended to agree with because he just hadn't taken enough of my stuff out and wasn't close enough to do enough damage or get them points back. But yeah, really nice guy again. Love playing Jeff. Really good character. So that was, again, started off the day with a win. Really, really good. And then my next game was against Imperial Knights and Astra Militarum. So this was against Adam. I was really worried about this game in terms of he had a Castellan, 2 Gallants, he had a Wyvern, he had 2 Basilisks, a Commander in a Leman Russ. He had 3 units of 10 guard and some sort of HQ and a I can't remember what they're called, but he said it's like a character which allows you to re-roll 1s for artillery or something. So yeah, he had a lot of firepower, a lot of wounds to get through. So again, had to sort of make sure I was screening well and stuff like that. So first turn, actually, he again shot my Doomsday Arc with his Castellan. I managed to use Quantum Deflection very efficiently. The stratagem, which gives you +1 to quantum shielding. So I think he got 6 shots through, and I had to roll 1s and 2s to ignore, and I rolled 6 1s and 2s, which normally would be a terrible roll, but was really, really good. So yeah, but it was a very, very close game. Again, came down to a draw, but because it was knockout by that stage, it went down to secondaries, and I'd actually got first strike and I got line breaker, so I actually had more secondaries, but he'd actually got more on the Maelstrom. But it was the Maelstrom one where each time you take a objective, you have to take 2, and they choose which one that you're going to keep. So it was obviously a low scoring battle, but really, really good game, really close. Adam was a brilliant guy, a really, really nicely painted army as well. So that was very close. So it was my 2nd win on the 2nd day, 3rd win overall. And then I got into the final of the lower competition, and this was against a guy called Phil, who was a pretty experienced player. He's actually won Ultimate Commander, I think 4 times, they said. So he knew what he was doing, but he said he hadn't played that much in 8th edition. So it was 4 pillars mission, which was where you can only hold objectives if you've got troops. So it's sort of hold more, kill more, almost a little bit like ITC. You get a point for holding more, you get a point for killing more. So went into that. Phil had a Castellan Knight, he had a Gallant, he had a Helverin, he had a couple of Psychers, he had like a Supreme Command or a detachment of Blood Angels, actually. I think he had a battalion of Blood Angels, 2 Scouts, 2 units of Scouts and a unit of Primaris, and then he had Guard as well, and I think he had something like 5 units of 10 Guard, with, I'm just trying to think what else he had. The Psychos, oh, he had a Smash Captain. I think that was it. Oh, and he had a Wyvern as well. Sorry, he had a Wyvern. And so he out-trooped me massively. So I got the choice of whether I wanted to go first or second, and I chose to go first, which, looking back, was a mistake. Because, well, I say it was a mistake, but he had a lot of firepower, so he could have done a lot of damage in turn 1, and then would I have been able to get back from that? I don't know. So I chose to go first. I made a mistake again. I split fire with my destroyers because I thought I had enough to take out his Helverin and then do some damage to his Gallant, but I should have made sure of first strike. And I got 6 wounds through at D3, and he had 6 5-up invons to make, and he made 4 of them. So, and then he ended up with 2 wounds left. So it was a bit like he should have really only made 2 statistically, but obviously, you know, always comes down to dice. I should have made sure of it. So I didn't get first strike. He did get first strike. He took out a unit of Immortals, of the 5 Tesla Immortals, and then he got kill more, first strike, and then he got hold more as well because he took them Immortals off and he was holding 2 objectives. So he was 3-0 up in a very sort of hard to score points game because it was Eternal War. So after that, I was sort of just chasing, trying to get those points and keep him off objectives, trying to get kill more. I did get kill more in, I think, 1 or 2 of the rounds, but I just couldn't get enough. I got finished. I got line breaker with destroyers, I think, because I had them in a building most of the time to try and protect them. He ended up taking out my wraiths, although they did hold up the gallant. So I took out the gallant and the Helverin in turn 2. So I was doing a lot of damage, and I think if the game had gone on, maybe I could have ended up, you know, potentially tabling him if it had gone to like turn 7. Obviously there wasn't time for that, and he'd beaten me, like he out-trooped me on a troops mission, so he'd beaten me very convincingly. Definitely deserved it. He was a great guy, really interesting to talk to him, and yeah, he just had a really, really good list. But in summary, I think there was a few things that I realised. So a lot of these guys playing a lot, sort of, you know, 2-3 times a week, which I'm not at the moment, just because I haven't got the time. So it comes down to a bit of experience, but I'm getting more experience as we go along. And secondly, I'm not sure if my list was as competitive as it could have been. Maybe there's some things I could change. I think it was a good all-round list. Like I say, I got, you know, 3 wins, a draw and 2 losses, and the 2 losses were, you know, for me, I feel acceptable in terms of one of them was against the guy who came second at the Necron list, and I just couldn't deal with his wraiths. And then Phil, who's an experienced player, he had a really good list. So yeah, I was really happy with how the list performed. There's things that I look back in each game, I think, oh, I could have done that differently, could have done that differently, you know, as you do. Obviously you learn more from your losses as well, so I learned a lot from that. I think I probably should have gone second in that last mission, but it was a really, really good day. Well done to Sam Squires, who won with his Orc list. He actually won overall. But yeah, it was a really good tournament. It was a really nice environment to be playing in a tournament. So if anyone sort of like new wants to go into a tournament, it's obviously you've got the terrain, which has an effect. Also, we had weather conditions. So in the last mission, for instance, the weather condition made it so you rolled off, and we could only fire to a maximum of 36 inches. So obviously that affected my Doomsday Arcs. It also affected him with the Helverin and stuff. But what he did, Phil, was obviously really good, because I deployed first. He then deployed outside of that 36 inches with anything he didn't really want to get shot. So yeah, it was a great game, great tournament. Really, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend it. I'll definitely be doing it next year, and I'm looking forward to some more tournaments at 40k Gaming. I know they've got some more coming up, so I'm just waiting for the dates of them. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this tournament review, and I will be bringing you more as I do more tournaments, and hopefully you'll see me gradually get better and better and better and place higher and higher. I'm going to the London GT in September, but also might be going to Warhammer World for a doubles tournament with Dan, my brother, who you see on the channel. So yeah, hopefully you'll be seeing some more tournament reviews and hopefully some better placings. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.